day of the week. Welcome to the Monday edition of Chasing That Paper, presented by VegasInsider. Oh, baby, what a weekend of football action. We are coming off of lots to discuss today. And the second half of the program, we will recap everything we saw from the NFL over the weekend. Of course, we have 8 total picks covering the NBA, college basketball, and the NHL today. And unfortunately, Iain and I coming off a rare losing show in the divisional round. We went 4-5 with our picks overall. Maybe a little bit of bad luck for me in that Kansas City game. I had the Patrick Mahomes passing yards over the team total. Who knows? Luck goes both ways in sports betting. So maybe we're owed a little bit of luck, and maybe we find it tonight. All right, let's bring in my co-host for the day, Mr. New York City, the man in the minute, Mr. Manhattan. Look at him. Now, Iain, did it ever cross your mind maybe to put a little bit of product in your hair? You know, a bit of a comb, potentially? No?
No, Joe, I need a haircut. And when I get to the stage where I need a haircut, I just kind of let it go. I think it's past the point of being able to style or do anything with it. So
here's my tip for you before we get into the picks here. When you go get your haircut, when you're going to pay, at that point, make the appointment for the next haircut.
No, you don't make appointments for haircuts. You don't make appointments for haircuts around here. They're barbers. You just show up.
Oh, okay. Mr. New York City. The pride of Coldbrook, Nova Scotia, by the way. Iain MacMillan was in the newspaper there on a couple of different occasions. To brag about that, bring that up. Okay, we got 8 total picks to get into, so let's get right into the action. Let's start things off in the NBA. In beautiful Detroit, Michigan, we have the Milwaukee Bucks in town, and I'm going to take a shot on those Bucks. Don't be scared of the big number, -11. This is beautiful timing for Milwaukee. Both Giannis and Chris Middleton expected to be back in the lineup for the up-and-down Bucks. We're trying to find some consistency here, and this is a fantastic starting point because they absolutely kill the Pistons. A 14-4 ATS run against them, a double-digit favorite in 14 of those 18 games as well. They killed them by 25 back in November in their most recent matchup. Of course, the Pistons lose ugly, a lot of ugly losses lately. They already have 6 double-digit losses in 2023. Average loss comes by 13.6 points, which is 3rd worst in the NBA. And you dig into the stats here. Major defensive advantage for Milwaukee. 5th versus 29th in opponent EFG percentage over the last 10 games. Bucks #1 in opponent free throw attempt rate. Detroit 23rd in that category. The Pistons also getting killed in the paint. Give me the Bucks as a big favorite in beautiful Detroit. All right, Iain, over to college hoops. What's your best bet of the night?
It's a game of the night, Joe. I'm having a party here in New York. A lot of people coming over to watch this game. It is Colgate against Boston U. Not even Boston College. We're talking Boston University against Colgate, the dentists. I'm going to lay the points. 6.5 points with Colgate. The Colgate Raiders, that's their actual name. They should be called the dentists. But the Colgate Raiders might surprise you. The best shooting team in the entire country. That's right. First and effective field goal percentage. Yes. They're taking on a Boston U team. Man, my brain is foggy this morning. Taking on a Boston U team that's 303rd in effective field goal percentage. So huge shooting advantage here for Colgate. They also play disciplined basketball, and I love betting on a team that plays disciplined. 24th in turnovers per possession, 3rd in personal fouls per game. And the Raiders play pretty strong on the road, too. Actually, some might say they're better on the road this season than at home. Effective field goal percentage is 60%. That's an increase of 5.1% from at home. They're also plus 6.4 average scoring margin, up from plus 4.9 at home. So give me Colgate minus 6.5 against Boston U.
Iain smoked a couple of bowls of marijuana for breakfast this morning. All right, back to the NBA. And guys, how about a little bit of goddamn respect for the Orlando Magic? I'm going to take a shot on them as a +8 favorite at home versus the Boston Celtics. The Magic hitting at almost 70% as a home underdog this season, and as a fairly big underdog, they've been a fantastic bet. They're on a 13-3-1 ATS run as an underdog of 7 or more this season. You dig into the stats here, and this matchup versus the Celtics is closer than you think from a statistics perspective. Neck and neck over the last 10 games in EFG shooting percentage and opponent 3-point shooting percentage. Well, the Magic are getting to the free throw line a lot more and forcing more turnovers. This team has grit, goddammit! And the Celtics, they're going to be shorthanded in this one. No Smart or Brogdon in the backcourt for the Celtics. Robert Williams also questionable, so they certainly won't be at full strength. Also worth mentioning, this is the first game of a back-to-back for Boston. They're in Miami tomorrow night, so maybe, hopefully, they take their foot off the gas just a little bit. Magic, +8 at home. All right, we move to the NHL now. What are you looking at, Ian?
First NHL game is taking place right here in New York at Madison Square Garden. It is the Rangers against the Panthers, and I will take the Rangers -135 in this spot. I'll start off by citing Joe's favorite stat. It is Corsi percentage. Rangers third in the NHL over their last 10 games in Corsi percentage. Panthers all the way down at 18th. Also, the Rangers, to be fair, playing very strong defensively lately. Their defensive play is something that I've ripped on them for in the past. But they're actually pretty good in that area over their last 10 games. Expected goals against of 2.96. Actual goals against of 2.15 over their last 10 games. And starting in net for the Florida Panthers tonight is a guy by the name of Alex Leon. Don't trust him. Sure, he has a .912 save percentage in 2 games that he's played this season, but he's still a young guy. He has a career save percentage of .896. I haven't seen enough from him in his 2 games this season for me to trust him, so I'll go ahead and fade Alex Leon. Give me Rangers money line -135.
Alex Leon, the Lion. You can't fade the Lion at MSG tonight. God damn it. All right, guys, I have an easy one for you now. Just take the Rockets. Or just fade the Rockets, I should say. T-Wolves in 10. T-Wolves -5.5 in this one. So don't overthink it for a second. Just fade the Rockets here. They are the worst team in the NBA. They're also 0-9 against the spread in their last 9 games. Just awful. But if you're going to be bad in the NBA, you may as well be really bad. Get more ping pong balls in the lottery. You dig into the stats here. EFG shooting percentage over the last 10 games. This is 3rd versus 26th in favor of Minnesota. Great 3-point shooting versus a team that's allowing the most threes per game over the last 10. And watch for points off turnovers in this one. So over the last 10 games, Minnesota leads the league in opponent turnover percentage. Houston is 28th in turnover percentage. Rockets dead last on the season in points allowed off turnovers. Give me the T-Wolves -5.5. All right, back to the ice. What do we got next, Ian?
Next up, we're going to go with my Toronto Maple Leafs. They are at home tonight against the other New York team, the New York Islanders, who are a bunch of absolute bums. Shout out to Kevin Connolly. I'll take the Maple Leafs. I'm going to take puck line. I'm not a big puck line bettor, but I'm going to take them tonight here at home against the Islanders. Let's start off with Corsi percentage. Does anyone really know what Corsi percentage means? Probably not.
Explain it.
The Leafs are 11th in that stat. Against they're 26th, the Islanders are. The Islanders have been playing like absolute poop lately, to be completely honest, not to get graphic there, but they have played terribly. They can't score. They can't put the puck in the back of the net, and I'm no, hockey expert or anything, but I think you need a score in order to win games. Averaging only 2.07 goals per game over their last 10, second last in the NHL over that stretch. Also, 7.64 shooting percentage over that stretch. That's 3rd last in the NHL. And the Maple Leafs have been completely dominant on their home ice in Toronto. 17-3-4 record at home this season and an average goal differential of +1.11. I will take the Leafs to win with margin tonight against the Islanders.
Yeah, the Toronto Maple Leafs, the NHL's answer to the Dallas Cowboys, right? I think that's a very, very fair comparison. I think Ian might agree with me on that one. Probably not. Pretty insulting. Although the Toronto Maple Leafs haven't won a Stanley Cup since, 1967? That's a complete and total disgrace. All right, it's time for our swing of the nights in the NBA with a player prop. We hit on a few of these last week. Going to try to hit on a few of them this week. We're going to take Lauri Markkanen to have 5 or more three-pointers coming in with odds of plus 260. So he comes into tonight's game against the Hornets on absolute fire. He's hit 12 threes in his last 2 games. He's had 5+ threes on 10 different occasions this season. At home, he's been lights out from three-point land, hitting at 47.2% from the land beyond the arc. And the Hornets getting absolutely killed from the land beyond the arc. Fantastic opponent here for Markkanen. They're allowing the 4th most threes over the last 10 games. Just awful perimeter defense from Charlotte. Bzzz. Give me Markkanen. Plus 5.5 threes, plus 260. All right, Ian, bring it home for us. What's your final pick of the show today?
Final pick of the show, sticking in the NHL, I'm going to go with total bet. I've been crushing totals in the NHL this year. It's very weird because I'm bad at totals in every other sport. But I'll take Sabres, Stars. I'll go under 6.5 at even money here. There was a stretch of games this season where the Stars offense was amongst the best in the NHL. Has not been the case as of late, scoring only 2.87 goals per game over their last 10. And it's not only due to poor shooting. Even their advanced analytics expected goals for per game still only at 3.05 over their last 10 games. Sabres, another team whose shooting percentage is still, even if you look at full season numbers, still inside the top 5. But they have gotten a little bit cold as of late. Their shooting percentage down to 9.74% over their last 10 games. And Jake Oettinger, the goaltender for the Dallas Stars, I will say, I got to say caveat, pretty much anytime we do these shows, because starting goalies don't usually get announced until later in the day. He hasn't been officially confirmed for tonight. He is expected, though. And if he starts, then this bet is going to be even better because he has been on fire lately. 926 save percentage this season. Shutouts in 2 of his last 3 starts. And the Dallas Stars as a whole are allowing only 1.98 goals per game over their last 10. So give me the under 6.5 at even money between the Buffalo Sabres and Dallas Stars tonight.
Jake the Snakes. So what, Ian, no comeback to my insult of your Toronto Maple Leafs being the NHL's answer to the Dallas Cowboys? Or do you disagree that that's fair?
As much as I want to disagree, it probably is. Yeah, they're kind of like the Canadian hockey version of I mean, I don't really have an argument against it because they choke in the playoffs every year, just like the Dallas Stars. So, and they are, just like the Cowboys are the most popular team in the States for the football, the Maple Leafs are the most popular team in Canada for hockey. So, as you know, I would say the Maple Leafs are more likable.
I don't know. Okay, yeah, we're going to talk about what we saw over the weekend here momentarily. But guys, if you're watching on YouTube right now, do me a quick favor. Hit that like button right down there. Hit that subscribe button right down there as well. Also want to tell you a little bit about our sponsor. If you're looking to tail any of our action or fade it, the choice quite simply is yours. I recommend placing that action over at BetMGM, the king of sportsbooks. Sign up with BetMGM using bonus code VIBONUS, and your first wager is risk-free. Up to $1,000. That's VI bonus, all one word, no spaces, and your first wager is risk-free up to $1,000. Visit betmgm.com for terms and conditions. You must be 21 or older. BetMGM, the king of sportsbooks. All right, let's weigh in on the 4 games that we saw over the weekend here. Ian, I will give you my take. Or opinion on what I saw. You're welcome to provide a response or add your 2 cents. So let's start in reverse order, looking at what we saw most recently. And of course, that was the 49ers defeating the Dallas Cowboys yesterday. And let's look at it from this perspective. So every single year, Forbes magazine releases their list of the most valuable franchises in all of sports. And more often than not, including in 2022, the Dallas Cowboys were on the top of that list as the most valuable franchise in all of sports. This includes the teams in the English Premier League too, by the way. So if you're going to come out with the most valuable sports team in the universe, Your team can't continually be a laughing stock, and you can't continue to get embarrassed by your head coach. And we've seen this now in back-to-back seasons with Mike McCarthy. The final game of the regular season for the Cowboys has been a complete and total joke. Of course, we know what happened last year with the clock management, calling the QB draw, Dak running it up the middle, the time runs out. What the hell was this play call at the end of the 49ers game? Yeah, sure, they're probably going to lose it. But you have Ezekiel Elliott snapping the ball to Dak. What are you doing? Throw up a Hail Mary. It works about 2% of the time. That play they ran yesterday works 0% of the time. That was absolutely brutal from what we saw from Dallas. And it's okay if you're not winning championships. Winning the Super Bowl is hard. But they continue to get embarrassed. And now they're going to be a laughingstock once again for the entire regular season. This is the most valuable franchise in all of sports. And you need to learn, if you have this head coach who cannot get your team over the hump, you got to cut the cord. You got to let him go. The best example of this is in the NBA with Mark Jackson and the Golden State Warriors. They were a fine team, a good team with Mark Jackson. And yeah, there was some stuff behind the scenes, but management looked at it and said, hey, we're not going to get over the hump with this guy. They fire him. They bring in Steve Kerr. The rest is history. Dallas is probably going to bring back Mike McCarthy. His coaching staff might get completely gutted. Dan Quinn might get a job. Kellen Moore being interviewed in head coaching circles once again. So just a disaster here for the Cowboys. The defense played good. The 49ers defense played good. Dak played awful. Big money quarterback. He's going to be getting killed everywhere. He's getting killed last night. And it's worth mentioning here for Brock Purdy. He didn't play bad, but he finally played a pretty good defense, and that was his worst performance of the season. You know, he kind of fit back into that mold of people. What people were saying when he first started this journey is he just doesn't have to be bad. He can't kill them. He didn't kill them, but he wasn't as great as he had been leading up to that. So, Iain, your takeaway from the Dallas Cowboys 49ers game, and do you think Mike McCarthy is going to stick around here?
No, I think they are. I think he is going to stick around. I tweeted last night that the Cowboys would become Super Bowl contenders as soon as they fire Mike McCarthy. Man, my mentions. Yesterday was a tough day on Twitter for your boy, between my take on the Bills and Bengals game and then saying that the Cowboys would become Super Bowl contenders if they fire Mike McCarthy. Everyone, all the Cowboys fans in my mentions are blaming it 100% on Dak. I don't think that's fair. He certainly had big-time turnover issues this year, and he didn't play well yesterday. But that end of the game management by Mike McCarthy, now 2 years in a row, the game has passed Mike McCarthy by. If they cannot win a Super Bowl with Mike McCarthy. I think they could win a Super Bowl with Dak Prescott if he improves a little bit and he stops turning the ball over, but they can't win a Super Bowl with Mike McCarthy. So they need to move on from him. I don't think they will, though, because Jerry Jones likes to just have yes men as coaches. And that is why, as long as Jerry Jones will be around, they will never have a good head coach.
Yeah, Mike McCarthy had time management issues when he was in Green Bay.
Yes.
Yet here we are, a couple years into the Dallas job, and that continues to persist. You know, everyone's going to be making fun of the play call at the end. I don't know what the hell that was. If they were trying some type of a hook and ladder type of play or something. But even the series that led up to that, okay, they got criticized for punting the ball. You can't criticize them too much because they did get the ball back, but they burned off like 35 seconds of clock in that sequence as well. And I've said it multiple times this year. Do teams not have like a coach who's like a time management expert, a clock management expert, a game management aficionado who can be in the ear of the head coach, maybe standing right beside him? Okay, here's the situation. You're going to want to take a timeout here. Maybe you're going to want to clock the ball. Maybe you want to run a little bit of clock here. Just absolutely brutal for Dallas. And I talk about, you know, they're the most valuable franchise in all of sports and they're a laughingstock. They've been doing this with the head coach, an embarrassing head coach for a very long time now. Jason Garrett, the clapper before Mike McCarthy. Sean Payton is right there. I think Sean Payton's a little overrated personally, but he's a well-respected guy. He's not going to embarrass you. Yeah, Sean Payton has lost a lot of playoff games. Let's be fair. He did win that one Super Bowl, but He's overrated, but he would be better than Mike McCarthy. Okay, moving on to probably the surprise of the weekend, Bills-Bengals. And the surprise wasn't just that the Bengals won. It's about how easily they won. And I do now think it's fair. Let's be fair, guys. It is fair to label the Josh Allen, Sean McDermott Bills as chokers. They're not frauds. They're a good team that should be winning, and they choke when they get in these situations where they should be winning, and they're now getting further and further away from their goal of winning the Super Bowl. You know, this has been a big-time regular season team for 3 straight seasons now, and all they have to show for it is one appearance in the AFC title game. They scored 10 points at home, guys, and they were favored to win the Super Bowl for about 90% of the season. And interestingly enough, if you watched this show last week, I totally killed Tony Romo. Remember in that game against the Dolphins calling Josh Allen Mr. January and Michael Jordan? I mean, he didn't walk that back at all, did he? He had nothing to say about Josh Allen in that game. So absolutely brutal for the Bills. That is a choke. And, you know, this has nothing to do with the Super Bowl team, the Jim Kelly team that lost 4 straight Super Bowls, but this seems to be the story of this franchise. We're seeing it once again, and they do rely way too much on Josh Allen. I heard something yesterday where they haven't drafted a Pro Bowl player in 4 years, so they got to get Allen some help. They rely too much on this guy. And my other big takeaway from this game is this was a little bit of a lesson, hopefully, to some casual bettors out there. If you pick the Bills for the simple reason that you thought the Bengals was a trap, or you thought they were a square dog, or you saw public money coming in on one side, then you got completely and totally punked. Do not listen to the noise of the trap line and the square dog and the public betting percentages. If you bet on the Bills because you thought they were the better team, hey, you lost your bet. No big deal. That's going to happen many times throughout the course of a year when we have over 100 games. But don't listen to that shit about the square side and the sharp side. Bet on the side you think is going to win and cover. Simple as that. So, Iain, your takeaways from Bills-Bengals, a little shocking to see the Bengals totally dominate 27-10, eh?
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. Yesterday, the Bengals were the better team. They played the better game, but this is the other area I got roasted on Twitter for. As I said, the Bills were the better team all season, and I still stand by that statement. I might die on that hill. People said, no, there's no way that the Bills are better. Actually, the Bengals were the better team. Some people would say, do you even watch the games, bro? I'm married to the stats, and you know what stats are? Stats are the representation of what happens on the field. When things happen on the field, those things get translated into stats. The Bills, in virtually every single area except for turnovers, were statistically better than the Cincinnati Bengals. Now, they didn't show that yesterday. They played like shit, and the Bengals played an extremely good game, and hats off to them. But I won't stand for people calling the Bills frauds. They're chokers, yes. Frauds, no. Yes. Frauds is when a team has a good record, but their stats are absolute shit. Like the Minnesota Vikings, like the New York Giants. The Bills had a very good record, and their stats were top 3, top 5 in the NFL, no question about it. Now, they didn't show it yesterday. This is now the 3rd season in a row they've choked in the playoffs. So, yes, they are chokers. They are not frauds, though. Those are 2 very different things, and I want to make that clear. Because a lot of Bills are frauds talk on Twitter yesterday, which I don't agree with. Chokers, yes. Frauds, no.
Yeah, Sean McDermott. That's a bad luck. Yeah, like stats actually measure how good teams are in certain situations, and the past isn't always indicative of what's going to happen in the future. And you get into these situations in the playoffs where you can't measure certain things. And one thing that you really can't measure, put your finger on, is that the Bengals and Joe Burrow, you know, it's not a huge sample size, but it looks like they got a bit of a knack for showing up in these big-time games, right? If you look at their playoff run last year, their performances versus the Kansas City Chiefs over the past couple seasons, and now add this ass-kicking to their resume. Very impressive stuff for the guys. You know, I wasn't overly impressed with their coach, Zach Taylor, going into the game. I think that was probably his finest performance as a head coach. They totally outcoached the Buffalo Bills in that game. Okay, now taking a look at the games on Saturday, of course, we saw the Eagles just beat the living shit out of the Giants. And I don't think the Giants deserve to be let off easy here, guys. They lost by 31 points, and all I heard all week was people building them up. You know, everyone wants to put Brian Daboll in the Hall of Fame. People saying, oh, we owe Daniel Jones an apology. This is a scrappy team that wins dirty. This is a live dog. Give me a break. If you're going to say that, you can't make this out to be some sort of a moral victory after they lost by 31 points. They got the shit kicked out of them as soon as they had an actual decent challenge in front of them. They didn't show up whatsoever. So, yeah, I think the Giants deserve a lot of criticism here. You can't just give them a pass and say, well, you know, it's, you know, they overachieved and no one expected them to be there, because that wasn't the talk leading into the game, was it? So, yeah, the Eagles absolutely destroyed them. And as I predicted, give myself a bit of a pat on the back, that bye, that helped the Eagles out just a little bit, don't you think? I don't think Jalen Hurts, you know, he didn't have a fantastic game by any means, really, but just from a full team effort perspective, that looks a lot like the Eagles team that was at their peak during a regular season. Hell of a game versus the Giants or the 49ers coming in this weekend. So what do you think here, Ian? You think the Giants deserve a pat on the back here for a moral victory? You think they deserve a little bit of criticism here? Because a lot of people were very high on them coming into the week.
Well, I think as a whole, the actual Giants team should be very happy with their season. They have a head coach that seems to be a very good head coach, that it's very difficult to find a very good head coach in the NFL. So the Giants, nobody expected them to do anything this season, and they made the playoffs and won a playoff game. So the Giants as an organization should be very happy with how this season went. But I agree with you. Giants fans, just infuriating. I've been calling the Giants frauds all season, and I've had Giants people in my mentions and in my DMs get mad at me and call me a dumbass. And then when they lose, they're like, oh, like, we're never supposed to be here anyway, so blah, blah, blah. It's like, you can't have it both ways. You can't say that they have heart and that they're going to win the Super Bowl just based on heart and grit, and then when they lose, be like, well, we were never supposed to be here anyway, so blah, blah, blah. So it's that Giants fans piss me. This is New York fans, though. No matter what sport it is for New York fans, second worst next to Boston fans. Giants the Giants team as a whole should be happy with their season, though.
Yeah, it's one thing if the Giants go out there and have a competitive game and they lose by, 3, 4, 5, 7 points, but they got destroyed. They weren't in that game for a second. So none of this moral victory bullshit after they got talked up all week about being a live dog. Give me a break. By the way, Ian, for those of you who watched the show on Friday, Ian was debating driving from New York to Philadelphia and paying upwards of $800 for a ticket to go see that game. He didn't end up going. I think it's fair to say you dodged a pretty big bullet with that one, eh?
Yeah, I did actually come to that realization. I was like, the Giants stink. This could be a blowout. And if I think the Eagles are going to win, they're going to host the NFC Championship the next week. So why don't I just wait and then go to the NFC Championship against a much better team in what should be a much better game? So that's what I decided to do. Looks like that's what I'm going to do. A little bit more of an expensive ticket, though. So, but at least it's a much better matchup. It shouldn't be a blowout, I don't think. So, yeah, I'm going to try to go watch Eagles 49ers on Sunday.
Yeah, man, I am pumped for championship weekend. Okay, moving on to Jaguars Chiefs from a game analysis standpoint. Not a whole lot there. No criticism to hand out, absolutely not. Credit to the Jaguars, a little bit of a backdoor cover for them. So congratulations to Jags bettors, of which one, Iain, was. Decent game by Travis Kelce, 14 receptions. The Jags actually won the yards per play battle in that game. Pretty interesting. That back-breaking fumble at the end did them in. Congrats to Chiefs teaser bettors. So the big story out of the game, obviously, is Patrick Mahomes. The ankle injury, good for him for getting back in the game. He was clearly limited, though, and one of his greatest weapons is his ability to perform outside of the pocket and kind of improvise A little bit. So what do you think, Ian? Is this going to be what does the Kansas City Chiefs in? Some pretty bad luck at this point of the season. Looks like things are going in the direction of the Cincinnati Bengals here, right?
I actually think Patrick Mahomes might be okay. If he was a little bit older, I'd be a lot more concerned. They're probably just gonna, what is it, Teradol? What do they call the drug that they just inject into sore spots and then guys can't feel anything? I think Mahomes might be. I've already bet on the Chiefs, so maybe I'm just kind of justifying it. But I don't think he'll be as mobile as he usually is. I think he'll be all right though. I think the Chiefs win this game against the Bengals. Yeah, Jaguars, by the way, should be very happy with their season as well. Made the playoffs. You got to learn how to lose before you learn how to win, Joe. And the Jaguars just learned how to lose. They'll be back next year. I think the Jaguars are now going to be the kings of the AFC South for the next few years.
Yeah, that is an excellent step in the right direction for the Jacksonville Jaguars. You know, that great comeback in the wild card round, so they now got that experience under their belts. You know, they come a long way from the Urban Meyer days where the entire team probably hated themselves. So, yeah, nice turnaround for the Jags, and we'll see if that can carry forward into next season. Okay, guys, we put up a poll on the Vegas Insider Twitter feed this morning asking you guys for your prediction for which matchup. What do you think we'll see in the Super Bowl here? And people think...
Wow, no faith in the Chiefs.
Bengals, Eagles. Yeah, people scared off of the Patrick Mahomes injury. I will say the Chiefs have a really good pass rush. I know the Bills, another part of that big choke that maybe got overlooked is they weren't able to exploit the beat-to-shit Bengals offensive line.
They were dominating the line of scrimmage, both sides of the ball.
Oh, it was pathetic, yeah. But I think the Chiefs, who got a pretty good pass rush, I think they're going to be able to get to Burrow in that game. But, you know, it's a big question mark. Patrick Mahomes, no one really knows. We probably won't know until he plays, so it makes that game tough to pick. I like the Eagles, too, I think. I'd rather see, if I could pick a game, I want Chiefs versus Eagles. I think that's the sexiest matchup. Something about the Bengals, I'm kind of sick of them. I got nothing against them or their fans, but I don't know why I'm sick of them. Whatever, Joe Burrow, whenever he does anything, people think it's the coolest thing of all time. He was wearing Seinfeld jogging pants.
Yeah, I think that's why we're starting to get sick of them. I think everyone saying how cool Joe Burrow is kind of annoying. Everything he does, like the guy just throws a football in warm up, and they're like, "Oh, look, oh, cool Joe. Oh, he's got ice in his face, so cool."
Yeah, it's like, okay, like he put some thought into his pre-game outfits and stuff, but everyone's losing their mind because he was wearing Seinfeld jogging pants. Can we settle down a little bit? I like him. I think he's a cool guy. He's cooler than me and you, Ian, but like, let's pump the brakes a little bit here. This is what happens when you build somebody up so much, it makes people resent them for some reason. Maybe that's the age of the internet, and maybe I'm falling for it a little bit. But something I want to talk about here, Ian, before we get into the latter part of the show. A lot of talk in recent weeks. Now, I've seen this since I started working in the sports betting content industry. People talking about, hey, the game is fixed, or hey, they got Vegas called, or Vegas knows on the line. But there seems to be a really big increase in this NFL season, specifically leading up to the divisional round games here. Of course, Warren Sharp is getting absolutely killed on Twitter because he released a video alluding to some sort of conspiracy to get the Bills and the Chiefs into the AFC title game. Like, a lot of people didn't like the fact that they already put those tickets on sale. I think that's a pretty common thing in ticket sales, is the game might not even be official and you still put the tickets on sale because you're going to make more money that way. That way people can take these tickets and put them up on the StubHubs and Ticketmasters of the world, and everyone makes a shitload of money off of it. But what do you think is going on here with people saying, oh, the fixed talk and Vegas called in and the referees are in on it? Do you think this is just an excuse for people being bitter about losing their bets?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think it's definitely related to the explosion of betting, but I hope it's just a trend, because it's really annoying, because no matter what side you're on, there's going to be people saying that the game is fixed. Like if you're on the Chiefs, you probably thought the game was going to be fixed because, you know, the league wanted Joe Burrow to win. If you're on the Bills, you probably thought the league was fixed because they wanted Patrick Mahomes to win. If you're on the Bengals, you probably thought the league was fixed because they wanted Josh Allen to win. Like, there's so many different angles you could go at it, and people just completely dismiss. Like they were saying, oh, the fix was in when the Jamar Chase touchdown got called back yesterday. But where was everyone when the refs called a penalty that took the Bills outside of scoring position? They ended up having to punt the ball. Where was the fix then? And then there's this Warren Sharp clown who, because he wears a suit and has a quirky mustache, people think this guy's credible. He claims that he has hit NFL totals at a 62% rate over a 16-year span. He said that in total he's hit at a 58% clip over a 16-year span for what he says is a fully documented 16-year track record. But if you try to find that record anywhere, it doesn't exist. If you start tracking his bets, his people reach out to try to sue you, like BetStamp tried to do. That guy's a clown, and then he comes on Twitter and he says that he alludes that the game is fixed in favor of the Chiefs and Bills, and then doesn't address it when the Bills lose. Absolute clown show. That guy's an all-time clown, and his mustache looks stupid.
I don't have much to say about Warren Sharp. I know he's a big Tua supporter, so I can't knock him on that. But otherwise, I guess I don't pay a lot of attention to the guy. But in regards to the games being fixed, and the thing is, there's actually people who believe this, and you see this a lot with the UFC. You saw it with the Paddy the Baddy win, and the Piotr Jan and Sean O'Malley. And people blaming Dana White for fixing the fights. And even if you want to blame Roger Goodell for fixing these games. Guys, do you know how completely fucked these big-time sports organizations would be if it got discovered that they were fixing the outcome of these games and these fights and these matches? It's not happening. Weird things happen all the time. And it seems like, you know, refereeing may be getting more and more incompetent. That's a fair criticism. But guys, the games, there's no fixing going on, because you can point to things on either way. Like, you can put the microscope on one specific thing and just ignore other stuff that happens, like Iain just pointed out there with the penalty and the no catch there for Chase. So get that out of your head. That's not happening. Okay, guys, I want to tell you a little bit about the VegasInsider app right now. It has all the major sports and betting odds at your fingertips, along with picks and expert breakdowns. You can shop for the best odds, find props, futures, and plenty more with the app. If you want more VegasInsider content like our shows, videos, and podcasts, you can find it all on the app in the media section. Download the VegasInsider app on Apple or Android. Bet better with the VegasInsider app. And I just thought of an idea. We're going to try to get Warren Sharp on the show to provide a response. Allow him to defend himself. What do you think of that, Iain?
He won't, but I would love to talk to Warren Sharp, because I don't know what kind of argument he can have against it.
Yeah.
Listen, no sports bettor in the world hits totals at a 60% clip over a 15-year span. That's impossible.
Somebody said that's not his real name.
That's all. That's not his real name. What, you think his last name was actually Sharp? That's a little on the nose, don't you think? They're Warren. I bet you that's not even your first name either. What a clown! Anybody who goes by fake names is a clown. Yeah,
Warren getting exposed a little bit here. Yeah, I listen to him on The Ringer sometimes with Bill Simmons. Bill Simmons was really big on the Giants leading into this week. Oddly enough, a lot of people on the Giants. Okay, guys, let's take a look at some viewer picks. Just a few submissions here this morning. Producer Tito. Of course, Matty Puppy Sports, our resident trend better. I think he's having some success with these as well. We thank him for the submission. Give him a follow on Twitter, by the way, at MattyPuppy17. He likes Alabama State plus 4.5 versus Texas Southern. big game here tonight. Texas Southern 1-6 ATS in their last 7 games. Alabama State 5-0 ATS in their last 5 home games versus a team with a losing road record and 5-0 ATS in their last 5 home games. The underdog is 5-0 ATS in the last 5 head-to-head games between these teams. Alabama State, Texas Southern. You watching that one tonight? No Monday Night Football. God damn it. What do we have next? Oh, yes. Okay, here's an under-the-radar bet, guys. Columbus Blue Jackets first period team total under half a goal. From our guy, Nathan Schreckengoss. It looks like Nathan has a new profile picture as well. You're going to want to log into Twitter and check that out. Columbus Blue Jackets have gone 10 straight on the road without a first period goal and have gone scoreless in 15 of 18 on the road in the first period. Calgary ranks in the top 3 in expected goals allowed, Corsi against, and high danger chances against over the last 10 games at home in 5-on-5 play. Columbus Blue Jackets ranked 28th in expected goals for, Corsi for, and high danger chances for over the last 5 games. Yeah, Ian, I think it's time for me to relent and begin incorporating Corsi into my NHL handicapping.
You got to do it. Actually, I've been a little bit less valuing Corsi, a little bit less this season than years past, and it's actually worked out for me. Still got to look at it, though.
Now, do you look, when you're handicapping hockey, do you look at the season as a whole or more in regards to like recent play? Like I like looking at last 10 games for NBA and NHL.
That's another thing I've changed with my NHL handicapping this year. I've pretty much strictly stuck to the last 10 games, and it's worked wonderfully for me. So if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So I'm going to keep doing that. If I get really cold in the NHL, maybe I'll switch up to and take a look at maybe last 25 games as well. But I've been sticking to the last 10 games for a while, and it's worked out well for me.
Yeah, peaks and valley. You know, teams go through periods where they're changing up the lines and certain players are hot, certain players are not. Goaltenders get hot, you know, so it's maybe a bit odd if you're looking at stats from, 3.5 months ago where, there's guys on the team then who aren't on the team now. Players were injured then, that's what I like to do for NBA, which continues to be a total embarrassment. I couldn't believe it. Or I could believe it actually on Friday night. I think it was when I saw the tweet go out that once again, for the 3rd time this season, the Golden State Warriors were sitting their entire starting lineup. I know I talk about this a lot, but guys, it is the least fan-friendly thing in all of sports. And if somebody wants to debate college basketball versus the NBA, that's the only thing that they have to throw out there, and they win the argument. Based on that, you don't need 82 games in a regular season of the NBA. It's greed, because it's all the reason that they won't cut down the games is because then that means they're leaving money on the table. And I pray to God that this doesn't lead into the NHL with superstars just given the night off because they need a night of rest. You don't see it in baseball. I know the NBA is a much more grueling sport, but it's so ridiculous. The amount of money that people dish out to go to these games and you get your kid excited. Could you imagine? Some kid probably got those tickets. I think it was the Pacers where they set out all those games. A kid in Indiana got Christmas tickets. Hey, Steph Curry's coming to town. No, they're sitting the entire starting lineup. Now, of course, I get some pushback on that because the Warriors go on to win the game, but that's not the point. The regular season doesn't matter to these guys. It's ridiculous. It's a pain in the ass. Wouldn't that piss you off, Ian? You plan a trip to go see the Lakers play or something, and LeBron is resting. It's one thing if you're injured, but rest.
It happened to me as a kid in the NHL, actually, and it's haunted me ever since. Now, the NHL, unfortunately, does have to happen sometimes with goalies. Goalies can't play 82 games a year. But I was the biggest Curtis Joseph fan in the world back in the day. Cujo, that's right. And my family, and obviously living in Nova Scotia, it's a pretty big trip to go all the way to Toronto to watch a hockey game, but we did. And then the day of, it was announced that Glenn Healy was starting in net for the Toronto Maple Leafs, and I was extremely upset. And they tied the Columbus Blue Jackets 2-2. That was before shootouts existed. Ties were allowed. Yeah, so that happened to me in the NHL. I don't blame them because, like I said, goalies can't start every single game. But yeah, it happens in the NBA. They just do it because they need quote unquote rest. So I feel bad for the kids who get tickets to go watch their favorite players, and then they're just, I'll just take tonight off.
Yeah, I would love to see them shave at least 10 games off the regular season and add more meaning to the top 3 seeds in the conference. For example, like if you have the top seed, you should get to host all 7 games in the first round. If you're second, you get to host 5 of the 7 games, something along those lines, because it's getting out of hand. It's really quite pathetic. And the NBA, I'm usually on the side of the players no matter what, but the NBA just bends over for these guys. And hey, it's not all on the players either. I'm sure there's some nights they want to go out there, but the team rests them. And they've done a bunch of studies on this stuff, and there's no proof that it adds to, longevity and staying healthy. I hate when people talk about, players versus the 80s and the 90s, or players today would absolutely destroy players in the 80s and the 90s. Like, it's not even close. People like the dumbest, LeBron versus the bad boy Pistons. LeBron would beat the shit out of the bad boy Pistons. However, players these days are much, much, much softer. And they also don't do as much cocaine. Cocaine was very popular in the NBA once upon a time, Ian, in the early 80s.
I bet they still do a decent amount of cocaine.
A lot of weed's being smoked, probably, but
that's definitely.
I don't know about the cocaine. maybe if you're on the Houston Rockets, hopefully the Houston Rockets do a bunch of cocaine before the game versus the T-Wolves tonight, because we're on the T-Wolves -5.5. Okay, guys, it is now time for today's Handicapper Heat Check, presented by VegasInsider.com, your home for the best expert picks in the business since 1997. Today's featured expert is Joe Nelson, who is 8-2 across all sports over the last 2 days. College Hoops Profits leader Alex Smart went 3-0 on the college hardwood yesterday, and Tim Michael hit 4 straight NHL winners and is on a 5-1 NBA run. Visit VegasInsider.com/picks for tonight's best bets. That's your Handicapper Heat Check. Stay hot, bettors. All right, guys, coming up at the top of the hour here on the Vegas Insider YouTube channel, you're going to want to check out the opening line report for conference championship round. Kevin Rogers will be joined by Patrick Everson live in Las Vegas. Patrick Everson will have some interesting insights from some of the top bookmakers in Las Vegas regarding line movement for the games and what's expected the week ahead here. As for yourself, Ian, what do you have going on with your podcast and over at BetSided that we can check out this week?
Yep. Bacon Bets podcast will be back. I'll give out spread and player prop for both conference championship games. And as always, you can check out my written articles for various sports. I'll have my Farmers Insurance Open preview out later today. You'll be able to check that out at BetSided, because PGA Tour does something smart. And on conference championship weekend, they put their tournament a day earlier. So PGA Tour event this week is from Wednesday to Saturday to free things up for Sunday, because nobody's watching PGA on conference championship Sunday. So Farmers Insurance Open at Torrey Pines. We'll start on Wednesday. I'll have my picks up on BetSided later today. Joe, what's your pick for the Farmers Insurance Open?
I was looking into it yesterday. I'm going to go with Tony Finau.
Nice.
Win it outright. I like Finau.
Yeah.
He's due.
Surprising. I'm shocked.
He's due once again. Simple as that. All right, guys. That does it for the Monday show. I, of course, will be back tomorrow. Dishing out some Corsi stats for the NHL. We'll have some NBA as well. Hopefully, we'll be coming off a winning day. Thank you very much to Ian for joining us. Best of luck with your bets tonight, unless, of course, you are fading us. And as always, keep chasing that paper. Woo! Yeah!